valuable bits of expertise. I'm your host, Katie McEwen, the procurement girl, representing BuyerQuest, the most user-friendly procurement solution in the world, an integrated Amazon business partner. With BuyerQuest patented technology, organizations can capture all of their goods and services spend in one solution. Check out buyerquest.com to learn more. I'm excited to introduce you all to our rockstar guest today, Steve Hughes. He has 20 years of experience in procurement and supply chain. He's the CPO at the College Board in Virginia. He's a highly accomplished executive with domestic and international experience in all aspects of operations, with a particular emphasis on global strategic sourcing, supply chain risk mitigation, and optimizing total cost of ownership. Thank you so much for joining the show today, Steve.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great, great. So how did you find yourself in the particular position that you're in, and how has that really focused you on, I'm sorry, Tina, can I start that question over again? I had on my editing, I had a different question here for one of our last guests. Is it okay if we edit that out?
Yeah. So what would I do? They would have to just take it out and start the question again, because I don't want to take out what you said.
Yeah. So after I say thank you so much for joining the show, Steve, we'll just cut out. Yep. And then this part right here. And then so when we go back in, I'm just going to start with question 1 again.
Okay. Yeah, that's no problem at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tina.
You're welcome, guys. That was my first blooper. I think that was our first blooper.
I think it was too. Yeah, but that last guest, I had to change that first question. So that's what. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, guys. Enjoy.
All right, Steve. So what's your focus right now? What have you been working on this year?
So the COVID situation has obviously changed a lot of our focus. We had some pretty ambitious plans for some growth in technology and some areas of opportunity in what I would call process improvements. But as a result of the loss of revenues that have impacted our organization, a lot of the discretionary spending was put on hold. But I have a great team. But right now we're a little understaffed, but I would normally have a team of about 12 people, and we're down to 9. And with a hiring freeze in place, I'm not able to replace them. So everybody's picking up the extra slack and trying to keep all the balls in the air. But our primary focus is cost savings, which is no surprise, and then continuing to look for ways that technology can sometimes help us automate some processes and save some time.
Absolutely. And in COVID, limiting your workforce, that's really going to force technology into the scene. So it could be a great opportunity. So who was that one person in your past that really inspired your road to success? A mentor or coach or a boss?
So early on in my career, even really before I got into procurement, I had left the Army, where I had spent 5 years, and I had joined Hallmark Cards. And one of the senior executives that took me kind of a little bit under his wing was the group vice president for operations. And at a phase of my career, over the 10 years that I was there, I was at a kind of a crossroads as to what to do. And I went to him for advice, and he actually recommended that I move into a procurement position. But the other thing that he did, which is actually more influential, was that he told me that when you're in procurement, you work with everybody in the organization. But he says the key to success is not that you know how to do procurement better than anybody else. He says the key to your success will be that you need to learn from all of the stakeholders that you'll be supporting so that you can understand what their roles and responsibilities are. And he says it'll dramatically change your perspective on how you do your job. And most importantly, it will actually show people that you care about them as people, and it's not about you trying to look good in your role. And I've tried to keep that advice in mind as I've gone through my career and moved up the chain of command, to understand that, yes, I want to be good, but I also need to understand why the other functions exist so that I can relate to them and try to understand the challenges they face.
Yes. Oh, that is such good advice. And thank you so much for your service. I didn't realize that you spent so much time in our military. Appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
you're welcome.
for your sacrifice. But yeah, reaching out to stakeholders and building that relationship, if you ever want to sell an initiative or a change in the organization, you have to know what their pains are and what they're looking for. That's excellent advice. Do you still speak to that mentor?
I don't. He is long since retired. He was probably very close to retirement at the time when I was working there, and he actually retired before I even left the company after 10 years. So
Wow. Well,
it
you
was
got to capture his wisdom before he left. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So what's the most innovative thing that you're seeing right now in this space? Any technology that's grabbing your eye?
So to me, the RPA bot technology is the application that I see that's really helping us do some things that we would never thought were possible. I know there's a lot of technology solutions out there, but we've just recently deployed a bot for our accounts payable division to be able to automatically extract the data from the invoices and then to read the emails that come in with those invoices and decide whether it's actually contains an invoice that needs to be extracted or just a response from a supplier looking for follow-up on status of payment. And the bot is able to figure out from that email message how to respond back to the requester. So those are two bots that have really opened my eyes to how automating some very manual processes that today bog us down and will take a lot of workload off of both accounts payable and my team in terms of fielding all these queries about what's the status of my payment? Is my invoice in the system? When am I going to get paid? And now we have a tool that will actually do it automatically.
That's incredible. I mean, you can't even probably articulate all the cost savings as far as time goes, because that's a huge time saver. We spend so much time doing such monotonous things, all day long to keep track of these, and just to have that done for you, that's brilliant. Now, how long have you guys been using that?
So it's been in a test mode and in production for about 3 months. It's working wonderfully. And it was actually created by a situation caused, I should say, the catalyst for actually implementing this was a situation created by COVID when we were using a third-party processor that was using an overseas team to take our invoices, key all the data into them, and then send that data back to accounts payable. Well, once COVID struck their country, they essentially sent everybody home. They could not do their jobs, and we were scrambling for a solution. And we didn't have the bandwidth or the people to be able to take all those invoices and process them internally. So our P2P supplier provided this solution, which was very timely and has been very effective.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, well, it seems like have been some good things to come from COVID, and innovation and technology, I think, are definitely going to be part of the highest on the list. So can you tell us one unique thing about you that maybe people in your professional circle don't realize?
Well, I think most people don't know, you just mentioned that I have a military background. And so that part of my background is unique and maybe not especially unique, but I think combining that with the fact that I have 6 kids.
Wow.
Those 6 kids were born within an 8-year period. So we went through a very intense period of all the phases of kids growing up. So whether it was the diaper phase or the teenage phase or whatever it was. So those balancing the responsibilities of work and family have been sometimes challenging, but I look back on that fondly.
Oh, yes. And your wife just must be just a superwoman. I can't even imagine. Oh my goodness. Well, God bless you and your family. You guys have certainly paid the sacrifice to have a nice retirement. Hopefully will be in your horizon in the next, 20 years.
Exactly. We'll have lots of people to take care of us in our old age.
You really will. My goodness. Yeah. I mean, are you all musical? Do you have a family band?
No, we don't have a family band. No.
Well, you didn't have time for it, so.
Athletics probably is more the the thing that the most of them, since 5 of them were boys. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So was there a sport that most of the boys got into?
Every
Or is
one
it
of them
all?
picked their own sport. They all did well in something different.
That's so cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, at least I kept it different for you guys.
Yeah.
So what's one piece of advice that you would give to folks that would like to see some of the success you've been able to see in procurement and supply chain?
So I think when I marry the advice I got from my mentor many years ago, essentially what he was really saying was, be curious about what other people's roles and responsibilities are. Don't just focus on yourself. And I think that what I've learned in my career is that you need to be a continuous learner. And I think procurement provides a unique opportunity to do that, because typically we are touching projects that cross a large span of industries, lots of different functional areas we support. And it requires us, if we have the desire and the interest, to learn a lot about things that we would otherwise never be exposed to. I mean, I think about the other functional areas. You work in finance and you're an accountant. Most of what you do is numbers. You work in marketing, you're primarily focused on marketing challenges. But procurement needs to know a little bit about all these areas. And if you're somebody who, if I take the advice of my mentor, try to learn as much as I can about what that is, I can just tell you today, my head's full of knowledge about things that I never thought I would know things about. So whether it's how to put a new roof on a building, how to do anything that I really, from a procurement point of view, have had to learn, I feel like I've gained an expertise in that area that helps me not only in future projects, but also helps me in just understanding how things work. And I guess being an engineer by education, I've always had a curiosity that it's not enough just to buy something. I need to know how it works.
Exactly. And in an organization, you have to understand, especially with procurement, what everyone around you is doing and what they're contributing, and how you can gain some experience and some expertise from them. That's great advice. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us, Steve. Thank you to everyone for joining TenureTalks today. We stream live every Friday on LinkedIn, and we're available anywhere you get your podcasts. See y'all next Friday. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for your time today, Steve.
All right. Thank you.